Swami Kriyananda often recounted a dream that he had in Florence, Italy, and I'm sure many of you in the room have heard this. He talked about dreaming, standing on a busy street corner and watching a lot of people passing through, criminals, businessmen, people seeking success, saints, all kinds of people. And as he was watching them, it dawned upon him that they're all seeking the same thing. Everyone is seeking to be happy. They're all just doing it on different octaves. They're doing it in their own way. I've heard this story in many times in recorded talks of Swamiji. I think he even writes about this in many places. And as I heard it more and more, it made me think. The story itself seems rather simple and self-evident, and even the conclusion he was drawing from it. But the fact that he was stating it over and over again perhaps means there's something more profound to it, something perhaps not just to understand from our minds, but something, if one were to realize in our own selves, is a deep and important spiritual teaching. And I've been thinking about that, and one thing is obvious, which is that if every being, all of us, and all beings, not just humans, if the impulse to seek happiness is what is driving us, it is the ingredient of creation. It is the very fabric of this universe. It's what everything is made of, and it must be God. And the Indian scriptures talk about God as bliss, Satchit Ananda, ever-existing, ever-conscious, ever-new bliss. That bliss is God, and even the pursuit of bliss that is in all of us is God. But on a more mundane level, what I realized is if we were to fully cognize the gravity of that statement, the full import of the fact that we are all seeking the same thing, we would perhaps notice that we are not as dissimilar from each other as we might think, that we are all very much like each other. And when we realize that, it is only natural that there is an awakening of love, that we feel this automatic, natural sense of compassion and love for not just all humans, but all beings in general. It just becomes a part of who we are, how we experience and express ourselves. Now, this week has been a very special one for many of us. We had 3 showings of our annual Living Wisdom School play. And this year's play was on the life of Martin Luther King Jr. It was very powerful, and the play, perhaps just because it is so fresh in my mind, of course, every play that our school puts together, this is just in case you're wondering, for those of you that didn't get a chance to watch it, this is not like any school play. This is a full-on production with costumes and music and dance, and it was just spectacular in all ways imaginable. And every year the kids, the play is on one of some saintly soul, somebody who had a close connection with God, but also changed the world in some way. And this year, of course, it was on the life of Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights movement and everything that happened around that. It was powerful on so many levels, and I had read about Dr. King, and I knew parts of the story, but it was so incredible to watch the children play each character and recite those lines. Love was the essential message that Dr. King brought. To love everybody, to use love as a weapon in war. Such a strange and novel idea. There's this one scene in the play, and it was exactly from Dr. King's life. He's delivering a talk or a sermon, and the news arrives that his house has been bombed, and his wife and his infant daughter were inside the house at that time. Nobody knew whether they survived. And Dr. King rushes to his house, and he notices so many armed men, all of his black supporters. They were standing right outside the house holding weapons just to start a riot. And the police were there, and there was just total chaos. And Dr. King goes in the middle of all of this, and he gives a rousing speech. He talks about the importance of loving even in times of adversity. And I think he says, those who live by the sword will perish by the sword. Drop your weapons. This is the time for us to demonstrate the importance of love. And I was thinking about this. Obviously, himself was a great saint, and he was inspired by God. That's one of the reasons this play was so powerful, and everything he said and did. But he was presenting love as a solution and a weapon in the most stressful of situations. it is not as intuitive or obvious as to how to do that or why. And certainly he was not doing that because he was naive. Love was not going to be effective in that situation because somehow passivity will help you survive, or that human beings are inherently imperfect or flawed, so just love everybody. It was not from that place. This love was an active form of conflict, of facing into the hatred that he was dealing with. The reason why he was proposing love as an instrument and a weapon is because he understood. He understood that the true nature of all of us is love and goodness. We all have goodness in us. We are seeking that goodness, and by offering that love, you get to awaken that in others.